welcome to the 2015 Teacher of the Year Studio Interviews. This program will introduce you to each of our schools' Teacher of the Year. Hi, I'm Paige Jerome. Let's get right to it with our first teacher. From Allapattah Flats, we have Danya Eder, and she's here joining us today with her principal, Patty Galloway. So we'd like to welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
And Danya, go ahead and just introduce yourself and your grade and the subject you teach at Allapattah.
As you said, my name is Danya Eder. I teach kindergarten through 3rd grade general music and 6th through 8th grade chorus at Allapattah. This is my 3rd year here at Allapattah. Absolutely love it there. And I recently graduated from Stetson University with a bachelor's degree in music and music education. So I got the best of both worlds at Stetson. I was able to do the performance aspect and do the education degree all in one.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. So at Allapattah, you actually do get to do elementary music?
Yes.
As well as middle school chorus?
Yes, ma'am.
So again, the best of
Absolutely.
both worlds for what you studied for?
Yes.
Great. Terrific. And I know our next question was talking about where you attended school. So
Yes.
we know that you attended Stetson, and your area of study then was for both of the things that you're doing now.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, and what is Danya, what's your favorite part of teaching?
I think my favorite part of teaching would be looking at the students' faces, seeing the aha moments when they finally understand music. Music is a very broad subject where it's not only just singing and dancing, but they're also learning math, social studies, all of the different arts, and science. And for them to be able to grasp it and attain it and to learn everything in one, it's just so great to see their faces and go, Miss Eder, I finally understood what you're talking about. And that's the best part to me. And I hope to inspire them and to not only just learn the subjects that they learn in class all day, to come into music and love music just as much as I do.
And to have a love for something that's
Exactly.
More in the arts or more in the performance-based
Exactly.
type of learning. Excellent. Awesome. And how do you infuse in the music classroom today, or in the chorus classroom, how do you infuse technology into your classroom routine?
Well, music is a subject that has technology every day. And one of the biggest things that I use is I love doing academic games with them to help their student achievement. And one game that we really enjoy playing is Jeopardy! And so we use the music notes about composers and all of the information that they've learned in their lessons, putting it to a game. And they don't even realize that they're learning still. And so that's the best part about the technology, or even using PowerPoints to help them with their songs so they learn the song faster, and they don't even realize that they're reading it off the page, so it's helping them with literacy.
Sure.
And so it's wonderful
lots of
to
ways.
incorporate.
To technology, then it can link, like you had mentioned, back to their content areas. So if they're doing biographies, or if they're looking at historical aspects of when those composers were in time.
Right.
Yeah, that's very cool. And have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher?
I have. It's funny enough, ever since I was 9, I remember going up to my mom and I said, Mom, I want to be a teacher. And she goes, okay. Teaching runs in our family. And she goes, well, why do you want to be a teacher specifically? And I said, well, I want to be a music teacher because I love music. I want to help people. And it's just a passion of mine. And she couldn't believe that at 9 years old that I already knew what I wanted to do. And so I went to college and I fell in love with it even more. And here I am now.
Great. It's pretty wonderful to be able to do something that you love that much every day.
Yes.
So that's pretty outstanding.
Yes.
And what about as far as when you were 9 and when you were growing up, what kinds of musical experiences were you involved in? A lot of musical experiences, or was that something you sought out when you decided you were interested in that?
I was involved in it. I started with elementary chorus.
Okay.
And then I moved up to middle school chorus. I actually wanted to join band. But my mom said, no, you have a voice. You should go into chorus. And I thank her to this day because that's what I went into. And I loved singing, and I found that was my passion. And I continued with it into high school. And then my music teacher in high school said, you need to keep going. So it was just a continuous thing. So music was always a part of me. And I was mostly in the opera realm. So I did a lot of classical music, opera, but I learned all the genres, which really cultured me.
Wow.
So it helped me grow into it. Yes, absolutely.
And it'll transfer definitely into a phenomenal experience for the children at Allapattah to have that background.
Yes.
That's terrific. And other than speaking with your mom and having that experience, when you were really switched on to music and sing and voice, was there someone significant that inspired you?
Funny enough, she wasn't a music teacher, but my grandmother taught first grade for 44 years, and I looked up to her. And I remember going to all of her school board meetings and helping her grade papers while watching Jeopardy, of all things, and helping her decorate her classroom at the beginning of the school year. And I just remember that she taught me to be a teacher. I basically got to intern my entire life. And since I looked up to her, she really inspired me because she helped all of her kids. She had a love for her job. She wanted to make sure that every child was capable of success. And she did not ever stop. She wanted to make sure that they loved learning just as much as she loved teaching them. And so she really inspired me to go into the teaching field.
Wow, what an awesome model you have.
Yes, absolutely.
And I know that you had said this is your third year teaching.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And you kind of feel as though since you're coming into a chorus with the upper grade, this is your first year.
First year with middle school, yes, ma'am.
And would you have any advice that you'd like to share with other new teachers or other first year teachers? What would be just maybe some hints of helpfulness that you'd share with someone that's beginning?
Well, luckily I am newer to the teaching field, so what I would say is do not stress. I know that's hard to say, but this county has such a support system and so many people that can help them out. And we're lucky enough that we have the mentors and mentees at the schools, but I would say go look for another mentor that's part of your field. And one person that I really looked up to and sought out was Jane Whitaker. And she's fantastic at what she does. And I emailed her so many times my first year, and I'm sure she got tired of seeing my name pop up. But she said, if you ever need anything, Danya, I'll be happy to help you. And that's really what helped me my first year. So I would tell first years to go and seek a mentor themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Great advice to be able to have someone beyond that school setting, but someone that really hones the same craft and looking at and how that can inspire you as well.
Right.
Very good. Very good for our new teachers out there that are watching today. And Ms. Galloway, let's talk a little bit about Danya's classroom, and when you go into your Teacher of the Year's classroom, tell us what you see.
Well, the first thing you see, of course, is enthusiastic students. Everybody's happy to be in that classroom. So it's a very vibrant, fun, enjoyable place. She speaks with such respect to children and has a way of really speaking to students, whether they're 5 years old or whether they're 12 years old, and really connecting with them on a very special level. So it's a very fun, enjoyable, and very active place. You rarely see kids just sitting in place. They're moving about in a very organized manner, but just pure joy.
That's a blessing.
Yes, it is.
That's really awesome. And what other activities do you see Danya involved in throughout the rest of your school?
I was hoping you were going to ask about that, because as I was listening to Danya, I'm thinking, oh, she does so much more than she's speaking about, because she really has her finger in every activity in the school, because she is so enthusiastic about the curriculum, and she's a very open person and seen as a collaborator. That teachers often will come to Danya, and so she will be able to infuse into curriculum music and some type of performance aspect. So when we have our parent involvement nights, she's there. When we look to try and bring additional families into the school, Danya volunteered to do an after school or before school or any time she could find a few minutes chorus with our elementary students, which started bringing many more families to come into school. Last year she did a musical with our kindergarten through second grade students, which was incredible because she worked with students in their particular classes, but then was able to put on this incredible performance with 100 kids easily and in costumes, and it was just phenomenal. So because she is such a collaborator, we just see her mark so many different places. Danya performs in the community. She volunteers. She does, work with summer programs and youth programs. And so we see pieces of that come back into school as well when she does outreach. Just right before Christmas, they performed at the new Bass Pro Shop. So she, she just touches a lot of things and can make things happen. So she's just involved in everything.
I did hear about a performance at the Bass Pro Shop, but I didn't realize. So that's pretty magical. Your kids had that real experience of going into another facility or another celebration to bring what they've learned from your classroom.
One of the things that our school is, our music program was not as vibrant as we would have liked for it to have been. And we had new teachers, and so we had this great opportunity with this enthusiasm that Miss Etter brings to the table. And so because she is a performer herself, a vocalist, we thought that rather than have her just doing elementary school music, which in and of itself is a big and important job, we felt that we really wanted to take those students who might have an interest in making music a career. And so we rebuilt our schedule, our master schedule, to allow her to impact our middle school chorus students as well. We went from having 15 students who were in our chorus to this year we have
70
Wow.
students.
And just because of her presence and the excitement and enthusiasm and expertise that she brings to that program.
That's incredible. Huge growth.
Yes.
Yes, and I know that you had also mentioned, Ms. Galloway, about bringing more families and younger students into being able to have those choral lessons. So that's only going to merge into that middle school at that time to make that grow even more. You're exciting them so young to be able to be a part of that vocal experience. So that's
and finding the time. She has the ability to really make time, and in the structure of a day. Her schedule is back-to-back with classes. And so you have to consider, when do you start an elementary chorus? Because there isn't a time during the day. Our school, I'd say a good 90% of our students come to school by bus, so we don't have a lot of students that are transported. So we really need to find time during the school day as opposed to after school hours. We're just not the type of school site where parents frequently come to campus to pick kids up for after-school activities. And so she has found a way to carve little pieces and bits and pieces of time so that students can come together and create this chorus of elementary students. Her middle school kids, they're there. They have a course. But I'd say that is pretty phenomenal to be able to make that happen when you have to actually manufacture the time as well.
right. And time is something we don't have a lot of.
Right.
So you've been able to really maximize each individual section that you have available.
Never says there's not time. It's amazing the things that she
awesome.
fits into time.
Yeah. And with the leadership, too, having someone that's real sensitive and open to that being a need is awesome, too, because she's able to then work collaboratively, like you said, with the master schedule to be able to make music and chorus just a huge priority with the academics. So that's really nice. Yeah. Is there anything else, Danya, that maybe I didn't ask that you'd just like to share about your classroom or that you'd like us to know?
I would have to say that, as Mrs. Galloway said, that it's such an enthusiastic, vibrant classroom, and I love my kids when they come in and they're just ready to learn, and that's the best part about working at Allapattah and working in the music field, and it's such a passion of mine, and I hope to inspire at least one child and have them love music just as much as I do. That's what I really wanted to do before I became a teacher, and now that I'm teaching, that's just what I want to do, and I can't wait to hopefully see it happen and receive emails from students that I had to do for my teachers.
And they were younger, and then
Yes.
I'm sure you're impacting more than one every single day in so many ways,
Well,
more
thank
that you
you.
don't see. I can feel that energy and that vibe of positivity and just that nature that you're just so excited to be able
Thank
to have
you.
them learn what your strengths. So that's really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate both of you joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And congratulations on being Teacher of the Year for
Thank you.
Allapattah. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us. We will be right back with another Teacher of the Year.
What does it take to start something? A little time. A little exercise. A little laugh. A little adventure. A little help. That's all it takes to make a big impact.
As he always talks about, he had people in his life that really helped him out, and he wants to be that person in my life.
Just like he is, I was like that at 14. I know exactly what it means to be a 14-year-old guy.
I think that's why we have a good relationship.
It's fun and cool and nice.
You get to see like how personality develops.
Our friendship is good.
At Big Brothers Big Sisters, a little bit of your support can go a long way towards making matches like these happen. Start something today at bigbrothersbigsisters.org/startsomething.
Welcome back to the 2015 Teacher of the Year Studio Interviews. Now, from Bayshore, we have our Teacher of the Year, Jennifer Archer. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining us. And her principal, Lori Ann Reed. And we're excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
Yes.
Kind of exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we would like to just ask you to, we introduced you, of course, but just tell us more about your grade and the subject that you teach at Bayshore.
I teach kindergarten inclusion, and I've been teaching that for 7 years now. It's delightful. You never know what to expect when you go in. Every day's different, but it's really inspiring to watch the kids, grow over the years and see what they can do day to day, and coming in, at a very low level and leaving at the knowledge that they know, and where they're at is really fun.
Yeah, sounds exciting, especially with kindergarten and just coming to school and being able to see that huge leap of growth. Yeah, that's very
really exciting.
And tell us, where did you attend school and what was your program of study?
I went to the Florida Atlantic University, and it was elementary education. But since then, I've gotten a few endorsements. The ESOL endorsement, I've gotten the reading endorsement, and then the gifted endorsement, pretty much through St. Lucie County with all the CEUs that were offered here.
Fabulous.
So.
Yeah, that's terrific to be able to add those onto your current program of study. That's great. And what is your favorite part of teaching?
Being with the kids. Letting the kids know that, that they can make mistakes and learn from them, and when they come into the classroom setting, that whatever's happening outside of the school setting, it's a safe environment for them, and just having fun and letting them learn.
And so probably I could imagine they feel very comfortable taking risks.
Oh, yes.
And because you've set up that culture of, them being able to come in and have the freedom to do that, which is a huge aspect of learning
yes.
for kids. Yeah, so that's terrific. And do you have a favorite part of the day in your classroom?
I really like the reading and writing combined. We tend to do a lot during that reading time, with the centers, and then breaking up and doing a little bit of cooperative learning where you can walk in my classroom and there's noise, but it's learning noise and it's busy, and one person or one little group might be working on one skill where you have someone else working on another skill, and so I like the multitasking of that.
Yeah, so that you can definitely differentiate and be able to have kids meet and build on their strengths.
And then teaching the kids to take ownership of their learning as well. So it's really interesting and fun to see, when the kids break up who they want to go to, and they sometimes I have this one little girl that will sit there in the center, and she's having some issues and struggling with the concept, but her energy is so live and energetic that she's getting everybody else wanting to do it, so she doesn't realize that she's learning just as much as they are.
Terrific.
Her energy. So.
Terrific. And how do you, we have so much technology today, how do you infuse technology in your kindergarten inclusive classroom?
Well, obviously we use them during centers, and we also use them as PBIS incentives in my classroom. I have a couple kids that are on little point sheets, so they get to choose what their daily reward is, and that tends to be what is the hot thing. But we do PowerPoints in kindergarten together. We sometimes make them together when we're doing like initial sounds or ending sounds. But we'll do PowerPoints. Sometimes we'll do use the doc camera, and they love it when we're showing something, and I zoom the dot camera in on them, and they're up on the screen and things like that. And then we've been having a project of the month, and every time that it's project of the month, we'll focus on them, and they're displayed up on the big screen, so they like it. And of course, we have the tag pens that we use and leap pads, and then they have wireless headphones, so I can have one person sitting in this area and another person doing the exact same book or whatever skill that's on that wireless unit in another area. And
oh, that's great.
So, yeah.
So the space, you can really be more flexible with your
Yes.
space for that.
So, and then we also incorporate sometimes they have a lot of kindergartners are into the technology at home as well. So sometimes in our homework or things that I have them go and research at home, I try and incorporate the little games that they're playing and using that as rewards with parents and things like that.
Nice. So lots of models of technology going on for more learning in your room. Terrific. And how have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher, or how did becoming a teacher?
No, this is actually my second career. I was in the medical field, but then I had children. And my daughter had started at Village Green, and I wanted to be more in her classroom and see what was going on and, be more hands-on than letting someone else raise her and not really know what's going on. So I quit working and became the room mom, and then noticed how much I really enjoyed the watching the kids grow, not just my daughter, but other kids, and really finding that I fell in love with teaching. So I went back for a year and finished out my the university, at the university to get my diploma and everything, and switched over to teaching.
Terrific.
So.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can feel the passion. So
Yes.
I can tell that there was probably a real switch-on moment, and you were just like, "That's what I'm
destined
to do."
I told my husband at one point, I said, when the kids grow up, now I have a son, he's a senior this year. When the kids grow up and get out of high school, then I'll go back into the medical field. But I told him this year, it's not going to happen, honey. I'm staying in education for, my whole life. So.
Yeah, you just have that feeling.
Yeah.
It's part of who you are. Yeah, that's real special. And is there someone, I know that you had mentioned probably the situation of just being able to be so active as a room mom, but was there anyone along the way that inspired you as far as maybe another teacher or someone in your family to be a teacher?
Honestly, it was my daughter. Her going into schooling and me wanting the best for her, and knowing that I didn't want to settle anymore for a career that I didn't have passion to go to work every day. And in here, I wanted her to have that enthusiasm going to school and giving her all. And I noticed I wasn't doing that in my personal life, so I had really instilling in her, what I wanted for her. I thought to myself, I needed to do that for me as well.
That's great.
And then just looking back at the way my grandmother was always nurturing, and in any tough situation, she would always make sure that we knew that we had the best in us, and we just had to bring it out. So between my daughter and my grandmother, they both inspired me.
Those are two great role models. And now you're being able to bring that inspiration right into, how many, do you have 20? How many kids?
I have 20 kids.
20 kids. Bring that into 20 other kids to inspire them. So
Yes.
that's magical.
20 plus.
Okay. Terrific. And how long have you been in teaching? How many years have you been teaching now?
14.
14.
Yes.
Okay. And so you've been in the system for quite a while with lots of different groups of children. What advice would you welcome or be able to offer? We have lots of new teachers coming in, to a new teacher that would be coming.
One of
to our
the
career.
first things I always tell them is just to breathe. Daily just breathe, because it is so overwhelming. In a new environment, dealing with the politics of teaching, and then actually the kids, and having so many different environments, kids coming with different environments from home, just to really breathe, and then every single day to try and find something to reflect on as far as a celebration, something that went really well, and celebrate on it, and then look at something that you think that they need to tweak a little bit better, or one of those aha, this didn't work, what could I change next time? And then definitely grab a role model, a mentor, someone at the school, and go to them, lean on the team that they're working with, definitely plan together, collaborate, and then also get to know the secretary in the office really well, the custodians.
Yeah, just connect with your whole.
Yes, yes.
Everybody that could be a lifeline for you.
Yes.
Everyone that could be a support for you as a new person. Yeah, and I really like to the collaboration piece because you don't have to feel like you're an island on your own. So really
Yes.
bringing those new people.
And I
on
think
board.
that's important because as a new person, whether you have experience or not, you feel a little isolated anyways. And then coming into brand new teaching, I think it's really important that you know not only just the one, but get to know everybody because you can learn so much from everybody on the campus.
Yeah, absolutely.
And put your arms out there and reach out to the people. And a lot of mentors have a lot of good ideas, and you can develop a bond that you both are learning from each other.
Right, right.
So.
Excellent advice for our new teachers that are watching our Teacher of the Year segment. And Mrs. Reed, we wanted to also just dialogue with you and talk about when you go into Jennifer's classroom, what do you see, what do you hear when you go into your Teacher of the Year's room?
I love going into her classroom. I really do. I always see absolutely wonderful things in her classroom. This past several years, even that I've been there, recently went in and she really has the framework really solid in her classroom, in kindergarten classroom. I went in there right before break, and she was just doing a read aloud with her students and asking her students questions and doing think, pair, share. And those kids, they were focused, they were engaged. And then she asked them a question, higher order thinking, think, pair, share. They turned their little bodies and they were right with each other, and being able to monitor that in her classroom is just phenomenal to be able to see. She manages her students. She has the inclusion classroom, manages her students to the T, so much that actually the district has videotaped her classroom and uses that for new teachers.
Wow,
and setting up and
congratulations.
establishing
That's
classroom rules and procedures. They're right on target, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to see. And teachers, new teachers, I've sent them to Mrs. Archer's classroom for modeling, and she's gone to classrooms and modeled for them, so she just does an absolutely wonderful job in her classroom. I love it. I walked in there this morning, and they're all so huggy, and they're just, because there's such a warm family environment in the classroom that Mrs. Archer has.
Absolutely, and that definitely comes from the teachers building of that
It
culture
definitely does.
and that community and
It
how
does.
you fostered. So what you wanted for your daughter is exactly what you've created for so many fortunate kids, which is really awesome.
And that's my mind frame every morning when I get up, is what would I want for my child? And every time I go to work, I look at the smiling faces, and some of them are not always smiling because of something at home, and I just want them to know that that I'm their treasure hunter for them. So
That's fantastic.
She is,
yeah,
too.
very exciting. And I know that we talked about what we saw and what we hear in your classroom. As far as Jennifer's role throughout the campus, what other types
my
of things
goodness.
would you like to share?
She does anything and everything that she possibly could. Not only is she's been a team leader before, she's on BLPT as well, and very positive and proactive in everything that happens. If there's any concerns that come up within her team, or there's always a solution that comes with it. And how can we solve this problem, and how can we work together to be able to do that? A very strong member of her kindergarten team in collaboration. Our kindergarten teachers, they have programs, and they dress the same, and they go to events outside of school, and there's a true collaboration that's been fostered with a lot of leadership from Mrs. Archer in designing lessons and collaborating units. It works together. And then even seeking assistance when it came to the framework, and learning goals and scales for kindergartners was kind of a new challenge for many kindergarten teachers. And Mrs. Archer took the lead on that and really fostered that within that. She has in the past worked in the after-school tutorial program. I'm doing third grade reading, and this year she is actually the site coordinator for our Title I tutorial program.
Awesome.
And I don't have to think twice about anything, so she really has it covered. She's definitely a true leader in everything that she does, in and outside of the school as well. She really is. Anything we do outside of school, Mrs. Archer is there. She volunteers, she's at the programs we have in the evening, anything we do socially as a school, she's there. And she's just
The shining light.
She really is. She does.
Bright light.
She is. She is the shining light. Mentoring teachers all the time. Mentoring new teachers, even if they're not assigned to her grade level. Helping office staff. You know, I've walked in the main office and she's sitting at one of the extra desks counting out Jazzy Cash because that's one of the clerical jobs for our PBIS, but if we were short or we've had things like that, she's like, oh, I just had some extra time, so I thought I'd help. And that's what she does.
Nice.
Yeah,
Really awesome.
it is. It's wonderful.
Very inviting, and I know as kindergarten parents coming into Bayshore, what a huge light for them to be able to be received by you and your team and the people that you mentor. So congratulations.
Thank you.
It sounds like a pretty exciting place to be.
It is.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to have her.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank
and
you.
we wish you well.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your Teacher of the Year for Bayshore.
Thank you.
That's fabulous. And we look forward to seeing you for the next Teacher of the Year interview.
I understand you need a little help with your mortgage. Want to avoid foreclosure. Candy? Well, you're in luck. We're experts in this sort of thing. Mortgage, rigmarole, whatnot. Why don't we get a contract? Who wants a contract?
Here you go, Pete.
Thanks, Betty.
Write a toner.
If you're facing foreclosure, talk to the right people. Speak with HUD-approved housing counselors free of charge at 888-995-HOPE.
Welcome back to the 2015 Teacher of the Year studio interviews. And now, from C.A. Moore, we have kindergarten teacher Catherine Christopher.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Catherine. And we also have her principal, Felicia Nixon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you both for joining us. We're happy to have you here today. And congratulations on your Teacher of the Year award.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. And Catherine, go ahead and just tell us about your grade and the subject that you teach.
I teach kindergarten, and I teach all subjects from, reading, language arts, math, social studies, science, writing. So I pretty much teach it all.
All subject areas for elementary?
Yes.
Sure. And where did you attend school and which program of study?
I am originally from Boston, Massachusetts, so I attended a small college in a town called Denham, Massachusetts, called Mount Ida College.
Okay, great. Now, was Mount Ida... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Catherine.
And you asked my degree. It's in liberal studies, but I had a second major, which was early childhood education.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. I wasn't sure if Boston had a separate early childhood.
Yes.
And, okay, terrific.
So that when I graduated, I would have had a provisional certification and then continue on to get my standard certification in Massachusetts.
Now, how many years have you been teaching kindergarten at C.A. Moore?
At C.A. Moore, I've taught kindergarten for 2 years, but I've actually been there for 7 years. Prior to teaching kindergarten, I taught in the VPK program.
Okay, fabulous. Excellent. And what is your favorite part of teaching?
I love everything about teaching, but I think my favorite part about teaching is watching when the students come in the beginning of the school year. Developmentally, they're 4, and then watching them mature throughout the year, mastering their goals that I've set for them, and seeing their love of learning, and that they're ready to go off to first grade.
Right, right. And when you look at kids, I mean, a full year's growth is huge for any year, but for kindergartners,
yes, it's
a lot. Like you said, developmental as well as academic.
And so, and not just the academic, but the social piece too. Learning how to cooperate with one another, learning how to make sure they talk to one another using the complete sentences and. Obviously, at this age, a lot of it is they're still very egocentric, and getting them to understand it's not just about them, it's about the school, the community within the classroom.
Right.
So that all within that, not just the academics, is watching them grow around the whole spectrum.
Yeah, it's a big job being a kindergarten teacher.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. And I know we have lots of technology in our district. How do you infuse technology in your classroom routine?
I like to use many forms of technology in the classroom. We have the Think Central. We can use the resources through there. We have destination reading and award reading and aerobics, but you can use those to differentiate the children's learning skills so that when during our daily 5 hour rotations, Kathy's doing something that's specific for her, Felicia's doing something that's specific for her. I have smart board activities that I would research, you know, every night. To my husband's chagrin, but so that I can use that in the classroom. And Seymour has the privilege this year of piloting the Safari montage, so we were able to get our training yesterday, so I was able to go on and kind of finagle through it. We'll be able to watch our morning announcement show on that, also go through Creation Station, and I could find things that I can use or implement in the classroom, as well as for myself. I could also share it with the rest of my colleagues in my school. You know, newspaper is also coming obsolete for our youth of today, so also giving them the opportunity to see video clips from the news online, articles, you know, online books, so I read them online. Just abundance of resources that I could use for technology.
Yeah, just a huge exposure in the classroom, I can feel.
Yeah, they love it.
And being a part of that new pilot is going to be really a super opportunity, too. I've heard great things about that.
So I'm excited because anyone that knows about Miss Christopher's kindergarten classroom, I try to give them as much as I can. And I know it's not really about the quantity, it's about the quality, but I do still try to give them enough resources so that they can master those goals that have been set for them.
And have additional practice. And, and some kids something might click with one resource versus another resource.
Exactly.
So being able to see, like you had said, differentiation.
That when you think about all the different learning, like I'm a visual learner, so I just want to make sure that I hit all the different learning styles for the students. So technology, visual,
absolutely
it helps.
Helps a lot. Yeah, exactly. Now, have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher? Have you always?
I was the child that would come home and emulate my teacher. So I probably knew from a very young age, because all my jobs through the summer, I worked with students in church. I worked with youth. However, when I went to college, I decided I'm going to be a doctor, and then it didn't work out. I went to one of my professors, and she said, well, if you're not feeling this course, then maybe this is not the right thing for you. So why don't you go back to your advisor, which I did. And my advisor said, what is it that you know you really want to do? And I said, well, I really do want to work with children, because I thought I would be a pediatrician.
Okay.
So I took all my courses that were recommended for me to take as a freshman, and my advisor said, why don't you take this course? And at the time it was called Foundations of Education and Introduction into Early Childhood Education. Those were the two courses that she recommended that I drop the other two and add this, and I loved it. And she said, now you know what you want to be. So from there on, here I am 17 years later, I'm a teacher.
Yeah,
and
that
I love
was your
it.
calling. You knew that was your spark.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. So a lot of kids now get to have that wonderful benefit of having you as their model every day. So that's fantastic. And is there someone along the way when you were working with church or after-school programs that inspired you, or even one of your own teachers that might have inspired you about education or just working with students?
In my educational career, I've had a lot of wonderful teachers, but there's one that really stands out. He was my math 8th grade teacher. His name is Mr. Paul Doty. I loved going to school. I loved learning, but math wasn't my strength. So by the time I got to 8th grade, I wasn't struggling, because education was, in our household, you're going to get an education. And when I got to his class, he always, and I think this is what I try to emulate as myself as a teacher, he always made us love what we were doing. Like I said earlier, love for learning, and I try to emulate that within my own students. When we walked in the door, it was always he always made his day positive. I don't think he ever said anything negative. Never. You never heard, that's wrong. You never heard, go do it again. It was always, go back and figure it out. Go back and always check your work. He just always made us want to learn more. And I think now when I think back, now when I look to the future, now when I look at the present, and how I have taught children in the past and I'm teaching now, that's what I want them to know. Yes, there's a process to get to that end result, and I want you to focus more on that process and not the end result. And I think that's what has inspired me today and up until today for my students, just for them to know, yes, I do want you to get to that end, to master that goal, but I want you to focus on how did you get there. I don't want you to just tell me that's 2 + 2 is 4. Well, how did you figure out 2 + 2 was 4? And that's what he emulated everybody remembers Mr. Doty. You go back, when I go back to Massachusetts and I see friends from elementary school and we just reminisce, his name always comes up. So, yeah.
That's special.
And, I had 2 parents in my life who enforced education, but he always said that you're going to be somebody. And if I look at all my 8th grade friends that I still keep in touch with, we are. We're all professionals. We're all family oriented. So he really, along with my parents, showed me what it's to be a professional, and that's why he inspired me to be the teacher that I am today.
Yeah, he believed in each one of
Yes,
you,
he did.
and I can tell by the way that you share what happens in your classroom that you do the very same
Yes,
thing.
I do.
So
I don't want any student that leaves Miss Christopher's classroom to forget me. I want them to always remember who I was to them, how I treated them, and what they learned when they leave my classroom.
That's an awesome goal.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I know that this probably could even fuel into the next question. There are a lot of new teachers that we have coming on board.
Yes.
And what would be what you just mentioned would be definitely one great feedback, but what would be some advice you would give to these new teachers? I know what you just said was awesome.
Yes. I remember what it was like to be a new teacher and how everything that you come across, it can become overwhelming. The thing I can tell, like I have several new teachers on our team this year, and I tell them, take every day, one day at a time. Breathe, know that there's always tomorrow, and make sure that you're abreast on everything that you need to know in order to follow through with your lesson plans.
Yeah.
I just think try not to worry so much about A, B, C, and D. Just breathe and know that tomorrow is another day, and you can always pick up where you left off. And also, you make your day. You dictate your day. So if you come in and you don't want to be there, then your children pick up on that.
Exactly.
So you have to be enthusiastic about what you're teaching and motivate your children so it inspires them to want to learn.
Yeah, great advice for a new teacher. Thank you. And Ms. Nixon,
Yes, ma'am.
when you visit Kathy's classroom, tell us what you see, what you hear when you make this
Well, when I
visit.
visit, I always see students utilizing the room as a resource. Her room is functional. The kids know what the expectations are. Everything in her room it connects to literacy and to learning and to math. When you visit her room, you hear her asking targeted, specific questions, and she has a unique way of questioning so that she's also differentiating, and she knows just how to zoom right in to ask that question so that she can gauge where that student is and where the instruction needs to be in order for that student to succeed. And her students are happy. It's a happy place. You hear good instructional noise. You hear pencils moving. You hear kids chatting. You hear kids collaborating. You hear them saying, no, it's your turn. And you hear them reminding each other of the expectations and of how we collaborate and how we work together and our roles in the classroom. And that's what you hear in her classroom, and you see kids moving about. It is not a traditional setting, something like Laura Ingalls and Little House on the Prairie. Those days are over with, and Miss Christopher knows how to tap into every child so that that individual child knows that she or he has been empowered to learn, empowered to learn more than you currently already know, and empowered to just, you know what, that's a chapter book, but that's a goal of mine as a kindergartner. I will read a chapter book. So the goals are clear, the directions are clear, the expectations are high. And what I love about her is that she demonstrates high expectations every day. So it's a happy place. And literacy is definitely the focus. Math instruction is the focus. Nonfiction instruction is the focus. Everything's the focus. I mean, she makes it fun. Awesome. And learning is definitely the priority. And just a phenomenal kindergarten teacher.
Oh, that's so awesome. I can just picture it. I mean, I know I've talked to you several times, and I can see the spark, I can see the energy, I can see the honest, true learning. So that's pretty exciting. We're really proud of you, and happy that you're the Teacher of the Year this year for C.A. Moore.
Yes.
And we also would just like to share, we just have a couple of seconds, Felicia, but anything else that might come to your mind that she's involved in on the campus that is...
When it comes to leadership, Catherine Christopher is top-notch. You know, we have learned that leadership truly is about the power to influence. And when Catherine Christopher speaks out at a PBS meeting, because she is a PBS chair, she's a great chair, she is a teacher mentor. And you know, another thing about leadership is not always connected to a title, because people will show you who the leaders are. And as soon as I entered that campus 3 years ago, it was a known fact that Catherine Christopher is considered by her peers to be a teacher leader. Teachers go to her, they find comfort in her. She's very approachable. Very approachable. She manages curriculum. She manages teaching. She's an instructional leader in terms of technology. When she leaves a course, when she leaves a professional development, she is already thinking, how am I going to infuse this to empower my boys and girls so that they will be reading like second graders? Because she just doesn't want them reading like kindergartners. She tells them all the time. Very positive lady. And all throughout the campus, amongst the parents, amongst the students love her. I have fifth graders who say, oh, well, if I have a good day, can I go and visit Miss Christopher? It's like, hold on, you're a kindergartner. But she is just that positive reinforcement for all pre-K through fifth grade students.
Awesome.
She's respected.
Yeah.
And I think that respect, it goes much further than, you know, like, or, you know, those other terms that we so often use. She's respected by her peers, and she is definitely a leader because she uses her power to influence and to enhance the overall learning community at C.A. Moore. And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to work with this young lady.
It's very exciting. I hope one day to be able to get to visit. It sounds like an
You're
awesome
welcome
time.
anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to have both of you on.
Thank
Again,
you.
Congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
Teacher of the Year award for C.A. Moore. And thanks for joining us. We will be right back with another Teacher of the Year.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Welcome back to the 2015 Teacher of the Year Studio Interviews. Now, from Dan McCarty, our Teacher of the Year, Robin Fellman. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. And the assistant principal here with Robin today is Rebecca Goodman. Thank you, Rebecca.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Happy to have you. Congratulations on your award.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're
it's a
very
wonderful,
excited.
wonderful thing for me.
Awesome. Well, we're really excited to hear, Robin, about what you do at Dan McCarty. And if you would just talk to us about the grade and the subject you teach there.
Sure. I'm in 6th grade reading this year, my first year in middle school, and I'm loving it. The children are wonderful, eager to learn, and we're excited to have them there.
Excellent.
to teach with them.
So then you have so many blocks of reading then. How many blocks of reading?
5, actually. I see some kids every day, and I have a couple classes that I only see every other day.
Okay, terrific. Awesome. And where did you attend school?
I'm from Indiana originally. I've been here in Florida now for 6 years. Muncie, Indiana, which is about 50 miles northeast of Indianapolis, and very cold right now, especially. I went to a college, Ball State University, and got my bachelor's and my master's there, and got a master's degree in administration and was principal for a little while before I moved down here. Wanted to get back in the classroom, so here I am in the nice warm weather.
Awesome. Well, lucky Dan McCarty, lucky us to have you in St. Lucie.
Thank you.
Welcome. And what is your favorite part of teaching when you reflect on your day?
My
your
very
routine?
favorite part of teaching is when the child, I can see in one of my kids' faces that they get it, that they understand, because they struggle a lot. So when it finally dawns on them, it touches your heart and makes everything that comes before that worthwhile.
Yeah, that's great when you just see that spark.
And you can see it. You can see it.
Yeah, that's a magical time. And what about, we have lots of technology in the district. How do you infuse technology into your daily lessons?
Well, we have listening stations. We use computers every day. We do stations in reading. We rotate. So the kids are always rotating at some point to a computer program that helps them with the reading curriculum.
Okay, terrific. And have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher?
No. No, I will probably be different than everybody else, because no, I really didn't. I waited until my own daughters were in high school, and I did some tutoring and thought that might be an avenue for me. Worked a little bit in a preschool setting and knew that that's what I wanted to do, just be with the kids. So here I am.
Great. Awesome. And is there someone during that time, I know you said it was when your girls were a little older.
Yes.
Was there someone along the way that inspired you or
Absolutely.
maybe sparked that interest
Absolutely.
for you?
It was, my daughter was diagnosed as having a reading disability in 6th grade, and her teacher that worked with her at that time, she was just so patient and kind, and when I saw my own daughter see that spark in her eye like I see in my own students, I wanted to be able to do that for kids, and just took that opportunity.
Yeah, and especially when you look at middle school reading, what a high need that is. So
yes, it is.
To have awesome people in there motivating kids and wanting to see that spark every day. So that's great. And let's have Rebecca, Ms. Goodman, let's have you talk about when you visit in Robin's room. What do you see? What do you hear when you go into her classroom?
You hear children really engaged in learning in Robin's classroom. It's a great place to be. It's one of my escapes when I'm having a bad day, is to go in there and become revitalized working in there. Robin is very unique because last year she was in elementary when we were 3 to 8, and she took a class of all boys last year. And so it was a very unique setting, and then she agreed to transition with us as we transitioned back to a full middle school setting this year, and went into 6th grade. So she's taken that elementary mentality with her. So when she tells you about the stations and so forth, her 90-minute blocks are really set up so that the children, it's true differentiation in there, so that the kids are able to transition through the learning centers, extend their learning, scoop the learning, some RTI built right in, and you see the kids, like she said, just coming alive and being excited. She teaches on grade level all the way to the children that are, you know, in Read 180 and in our language program for some of our 6th grade ESOL students and ESE students that require some of that extra help in reading right there. And they really are. It's been really exciting this year seeing several of those students really begin to connect with the written word.
Great. And I know that we did speak a little bit. How do you see coming from that elementary background and now into middle school?
It just, I fit right in. It just transitions very easily because really we call them 6th graders, but when I get them, you know, it's only a few weeks since I last saw them in 5th grade. I see them really step up. They gain maturity that they hadn't had before and take their learning just a little bit more seriously. Because they know, it's like, I guess, when you get to be 40, you see that age coming more quickly, and I think they see their time in middle school coming to an end, and they work, just a little bit harder.
Right, right. Now I know that you had, this is your first year in middle school, but many years in education, and so when you're thinking about new teachers, what's some advice that you would share with us that would be great advice for a new teacher coming on board?
I think one of the best things you can do is to take a step back and get to know your kids, get to know their families, and find out where they come from, because that affects everything that we do in school. And if you can't build that relationship with them, then they're not going to trust you to do what's best for them.
Right.
So that's one of the best things that you can do. It makes your job so much easier if you just can take the time at the beginning to do that.
And they know you believe in them.
Yes.
They know you're vested in all parts of their life.
You just have to let yourself be out there for them to see you, and not Mrs. Philman, but me.
Right, the real person.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Exactly. And Rebecca, what other activities do you see Mrs. Philman participating in on your campus at Dan McCarty?
She is involved in everything. In the past, she has led parent groups. She participates in tutorial sessions for the kids. She has worked with us with our Citizen of the Month, Student of the Month activities, with our PBS activities, with our family outreach, community outreach programs. She's there if the door is open. She is there. She's there early. Kids walk in and she tutors. There's a real sense of trust that she has built with the children and created a very safe environment for both the kids and their families. There's siblings that come in and hang out with her during certain times also. So.
Which is good, because you can put them to work.
Oh, yeah. And they can not be fearful of taking a risk.
Exactly.
It goes back to that whole safety.
Absolutely. They need to feel some success.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially when I know you mentioned that you also work with Read 180 in the language program, so when you're looking at those higher need reading course codes, those kids probably have struggled in reading for multitude of years.
Probably since they started.
So it is great for them to be able to have that environment, that culture.
But she also extends learning for them as well. She does not dummy things down. That expectation is still there, and the steps so that they can reach those expectations are put into place. She serves as grade chair this year, and she's also, ever since we've been at Dan McCarty, has been mentoring new teachers. So that was really, when she was speaking to you, that's a walk that she truly walks.
Right, right. Really helpful. People can come to you as a resource.
I try.
Yeah.
Do try.
And we need that, because we do have a lot of new teachers, and sometimes even it might not be a teacher in your same content area that needs support. So just so that people know that you are that resource for them.
That's what makes our school, we're working towards success, and we all have to work together, and it's difficult at times, but you're either on board or you're not.
Right. Right.
Dr. Washington has put into or vocalized that we are headed north this year. He is steering us north, and Ms. Philman has really stepped up to the plate, and she is one of those oarsmen that is rowing hard to get us to stay in that current north. So
cruising
really
for excellence.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, Ms. Philman, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about your class or your students, or things that you'd like us to know?
My students are the best students. The students at Dan McCarty are very eager to learn. They may struggle more than we'd like for them to, but we will get there. If they can be shown that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, they're willing to work hard, and we will get there.
Yeah.
Just can't give up on the kids.
And high expectations, like you had
Absolutely,
mentioned.
absolutely high expectations.
Yeah.
Because the kids, they know. They know whether you are taking a step back for them, or if their expectation is the same as the next group coming in. They know that because they talk amongst themselves.
Right. Right. Excellent. And what about you, Rebecca? Is there anything else that you'd like to share that maybe we didn't talk about as far as Miss Philman's classroom or her activities at school?
Well, just in a nutshell, just to show you how dedicated she is, the kids were going to be back in class this week, today, and she was in Indiana, and she was there with her best friend, who became ill, and she loaded her friend up and drove through blizzard conditions so that she was here for her children.
For the start of back from the break.
That just, to me, kind of tells you it all.
Yeah, high level of commitment. Yeah.
I had to be there if they had to be there.
I like that. Yep, that's the model, right?
Yes.
High expectations and showing them that you believe in them, and in return, you guys are going to absolutely head north. They're going to have all those readers.
There's no option. That's where we're going.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure to have both of you on today. And again, congratulations on your honor, Teacher of the Year for Dan McCarty.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
Thank you for having
we
us.
look forward to great things. And thanks for joining us. We will be right back with another Teacher of the Year. Welcome back to the 2015 Teacher of the Year Studio Interviews. Now, from Okamic, we have Heather Belitho, the media specialist from Okamic. Thank you, Heather, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we have Carmen Peterson, her principal. Thank you, Ms. Peterson, for being here. We're happy to have both of you. Congratulations on your award.
Thank you.
Teacher of the Year. That's awesome.
I'm excited. Thank you.
We're excited for you. And go ahead and tell us, Heather, about your position that you hold at Okamic.
Well, actually, I am in my third year as the school library media specialist, which is a bit of a jump. Before I was for 5 years, I was a middle grades reading teacher at Okamic, but it's an awesome, amazing position, and I love being in it.
Terrific. Awesome. And I know that you tell us about your schooling and your program of study, and I know recently that you've been involved in a new program of study too. So
yes, I got my bachelor's degree in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My bachelor's is in communications. I went back to school. I went to Cleveland State University for education, for language arts, for English language arts, and I just completed my master's degree. I went to Florida State University and I got my master's in library and information studies. So, and I'm just going to give a shout out to Florida State. We have the #1 media specialist program in the country, which is kind of cool.
Fabulous.
I know. Go Knowles.
So you're a part of that.
Yeah,
Congratulations
which is really exciting.
on your new accomplishment. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And what is your favorite part of teaching? Whether you want to share with us the teaching that goes on in the library, because there's a lot of it happening there.
Oh my goodness. My favorite part of teaching. There are so many parts of teaching that I love, but I think perhaps one of my favorite parts, as an information specialist, I get to work with kids and with teachers in sharing resources and sharing texts and sharing tangible books and in sharing electronic resources. And when a kid comes to me excited about their reading, or when you turn a kid on to reading something that they wouldn't have been excited about reading before, and now they have an enthusiasm for it, that is just the coolest. I have afternoon duty, and so I get to see a lot of kids walking by me after school. And when there are kids walking with their books open that they got at the library that day, how cool is that? Or when they stop me in the hall and they go, Miss Belitho, I need to tell you about this book. It's a fantastic, fantastic feeling. I absolutely love it. Can I share one other thing I love about it?
Absolutely, please do.
Something in my position that I hadn't really realized, I guess, was how much I get to work with other teachers. And when I share something with teachers and they're excited about that resource, that is also so wonderfully fulfilling, knowing that you've shared something and collaborated on something that is then going to be used not just in the library and not just like in my little realm of influence, I guess, but then taken into the classroom is a really cool feeling as well.
Yeah, so that's excellent. You're able to hand those models and share those experiences so that you can see that library model or things that are happening in the lessons kind of articulate through the whole school campus.
And
which
what we
is great.
do in the library supports everything that we do in our school, so it's really exciting.
Absolutely. And that takes us to another part, thinking about technology. I know OCAMIC has a lot of technology, and so what are some ways that you use the technology at OCAMIC to infuse that into library lessons?
Okay, this is going to be how much time do we have? No, I'm just joking. But one of the things that's really cool in our program of study and becoming a media specialist, you look at information, not just in tangible books, which is what I think a lot of people think of when they think of a library, but in resources, whether they be electronic or tangible resources. So I get to spend a lot of time going into classrooms and working with kids and talking about some of the amazing resources we have right here in St. Lucie County. Through our school district, all of our students have access to incredible databases, like our Gale databases. Kids InfoBits is one of my favorite, so I don't know where the camera is, but go on it, it's really cool. World Book is an incredible resource, so being able to share that with students. Being able to share not only what resources we know are good, but when students are doing a search, when they want to find information, how do they find it? What do they search into that Google search bar? And once they get their hundreds or thousands or millions of results, how do they know which of those resources are reliable? What can they actually use? Media specialists is a rule. We have our Destiny homepage, and we're able to put a bunch of different resources on there for research, for fun, for parents, for teachers. There are some awesome resources. I just went to the Florida Association for Media and Education conference, which my principal let me go to, and I learned about Florida Memory, which is this incredible website which has primary resources all tied to Florida history, and the Florida Electronic Library, which has so many resources. Newsela. Newsela is this cool website where you can get different lexiles of the same article. So you can have the same article and you can use it with all of your students, so students have access to text at a level that's appropriate for them. But also to be able to use technology for fun and just be able to play with books and with technology. So there's this amazing book called The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore by William Joyce. And there's an app for it where you hold your iPad or your iPhone over the pages of the book and the book comes alive.
Oh, wow.
So if you plug that into your projector, which another media specialist told me about, the kids are able to see and hear this book come to life, and actually you can hold it up and incorporate the kids into the story. And it was so cute because during it, these some kids that aren't usually engaged or not easily engaged, you could see them just staring in awe at this story that was coming to life. And this one little boy, I believe he was in 2nd grade, he raised his hand afterward and he goes, "You know, I usually like informational books, but I guess this kind of book can be pretty cool too." So,
oh, that's outstanding.
Using this technology tool, this whole new world is open to him. So
I think I would be sitting there in awe if I could see that.
I'll
that
show
book
you.
Do that.
It's so neat, but
very neat.
Yeah.
All right. Very special things happening with technology. And when you think about your path working both in the middle school and now transitioning as a media or information specialist, was that something you knew you always wanted to do? Was to be in education, or?
Actually, when I was in school, my dad kept saying, "Heather, you should be a teacher." And I said, no way. There was no way I wanted to be a teacher because teachers don't make a lot of money. However, I completed my program. I got my degree in communications, and I went into real estate. And everything I thought I wanted, I had, and I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't passionate. I wasn't excited. And one day I sold a house. And I thought I should be so excited because it was a big deal. And I wasn't. And so I went home and I thought about it, and I very shortly thereafter put in my 2 weeks notice, and I didn't know what else to do, so I substitute taught. And the first day I substitute taught, I was in a 7th grade language arts classroom, and that was it.
Yeah, you were hooked.
I was hooked. I believe it was that weekend or the following weekend I signed up at Cleveland State to pursue education. So
fantastic. And I know lots of kids at Okemuk have been fortunate of, you being a model for them and teachers, your leadership. So it was the right place. Good decision, right?
I hope. Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else right now. So definitely.
Excellent. And along that way, when you were taking courses, was there anyone particular that inspired you to be a certain kind of teacher, maybe to become teacher to media or information specialist?
When I was getting my communications degree, I had a professor, Dr. Michael Balmert, and I didn't realize it at the time, but he, I believe, was one of my inspirations to become a teacher because he cared. And he cared about all of his students, and he cared beyond you mastering the material. I knew that he wanted us to master the material so that we could use it and have more fulfilling lives. And there was just something in his manner that I knew that he cared. And as a result, I worked so hard because I didn't want to disappoint, but also because he set this high expectation and I was going to meet it and I was going to surpass it if I could. And having a teacher and having people in your life that make you feel that way. I'm fortunate to work with administration that when I'm with them, I want to reach the moon. And that's what having caring people, treasure hunters, to use the Kids at Hope term, having treasure hunters in your life does. It makes you want to succeed. And I want to do that for kids. So
There can't be anything a better goal or higher expectation than that. It's fabulous. And when you think about leadership, Ms. Peterson, I know when you go into Heather, into the Okemuk Media Center, you see lots of things going on. So just share with us what you see and what you hear when Heather's working with students in her space or in classrooms.
I'd like to say that what I see is exactly what you're seeing now.
Yeah.
Her happiness and her enthusiasm and her excitement in the 8 years that I've known Heather, whether it's in the classroom or in the media center, I have never walked into her classroom or the media center and not seen exactly this. And our kids love that. They love that they're always welcome. They love that there's somebody there that's excited about them, that's excited about the books, that's excited about the media. I wish that I had a picture of the media center, because what she and the media clerk, she works very, very closely with our media clerk, Miss Judy. They have created such a warm and welcoming and a beautiful environment. They've painted the walls. There are soft, comfortable chairs. There's a high table with high chairs like you would see like in a fancy coffee house. There's soft music playing. There's a little fountain with water trickling through it. There are trees in the media center, beautiful greenery. If I ever just need to take a minute to be peaceful, I will walk in, I'll be there for a minute, and I'll walk out. What I see in here in there also is a lot of conversation. You know, sometimes people have an image of media centers as quiet and hush, and it's not that way at all. It's so much conversation about books and information, and I always tease Heather and Miss Judy because they sell books. I walk in and that's what they're doing with kids. They're selling books. You know, I remember last time you read this. Did you like that? You know what? We have 2 new ones that are very similar. What do you think about this? Take a look at this. And tell me what you thought. Again, it's not just them talking to kids. They want the kids to talk back to them. They really seek feedback. So the kids love giving that feedback. And I've also seen kids who have watched Miss Judy and Heather, they take on that same role with each other, and they will be selling books to each other. You know, I remember you read that. I think you might like this one that I read last time. Why don't you check this one out? And I love seeing that. I love seeing all the conversation and the talk about books, and it's just a great environment. And you know, Heather talked about working with kids, and she talked about the excitement she feels in collaborating with colleagues, but she also brings in the community. We have parent volunteers that work in the Media Center. We have students that have graduated from Okamic that come back and volunteer and won't leave. They stay late. They won't leave. We had a Boo for Books in October, just one of many events that are planned, but Boo for Books where kids were able to exchange books. And Heather involved the community. There was a local author. There was a representative from the county library system so kids could get library cards. We had our book fair going on, so Heather did a mini book fair in a corner of our auditoria. We had kids on stage that were having like a jazzy kind of coffee thing for our middle grades. And it was just so much fun. So it really was. I think that's one of the things that, she says she wanted the kids to have fun. At Boo for Books, I had so much fun. It wasn't that I had to be there. I just loved being there and watching the kids have so much fun, and I was having fun. We were all having so much fun, actually. So those are just some of the things that I see and hear with Heather every day. I just feel so fortunate, and our kids are so fortunate.
Well, I feel like, too, when you think of Barnes & Noble and special events, it's almost like the Media Center, the Information Center of Okamic is that special event every day.
It is.
When you think of it being the hub of your school, it really is true testament to that happening, that live, that energy, and like you said, that you just want to capture that moment when those kids have those discussions that they've learned from those people in the library, like Heather and Miss Judy. So that's pretty
and
awesome.
Heather's right about kids walking with books, because I have afternoon duty too in a completely different spot from Heather. And I have stopped kids because I'm afraid that they're going to fall down because they're literally walking out reading that book. And I said, sweetheart, I'm so happy, but I need for you to be safe. So absolutely exciting to see kids excited about books and on their own want to read them, not because an adult's telling them, not because a teacher is telling them, but because they've learned to love reading. And a big part of that is Heather and their teachers.
Yeah, and the influence that you share with both teachers and students is powerful to be able to make that happen. So we're really excited for you, Mrs. Belaytho, that you have this honor for Okamic's Teacher of the Year. And we're happy that you both could be with us today. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you might want to share before we close?
I would.
Is that okay?
I mean, Heather mentioned very briefly Kids at Hope, and many schools in our district now are Kids at Hope, and I believe we were one of the first. But Ms. Belaytho has been instrumental in that as well, beyond her classroom and media specialist duties. And I think the kids, she talked about that caring professor. And that's what Kids at Hope is all about, caring adults and children's lives. And she really has been instrumental in doing that for our school. So I just wanted to share that as well.
Yeah, that's a great, outside of the role of the media specialist, another campus event and program that you spearhead. So that's awesome. Terrific. All right, well, it's been a pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Good to see both of you. And thanks for joining us. We'll be right back with another Teacher of the Year.
I hope you find a home. I hope you find a home. Hey, maybe you'll be picked next. Maybe you'll be picked next. We've been caged together too long. We've been caged together too long. How come nobody ever picks me? Maybe they're looking for somebody different. Pick me. Well, the shelter's closing up for another day. We didn't get picked. I know. Tomorrow. Guaranteed.
Welcome back to the 2015 Teacher of the Year Studio Interviews. Now, from Floresta Elementary, we have Grace Duvelsdorf, who is the literacy coach at Floresta. Thank you, Grace, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we have the pleasure of having Miss Bernadette Floyd, the principal, also at Floresta. Thank you, Miss Floyd, for joining us today, too.
Thank you for having me as well.
And congratulations, Grace, to your award, Teacher of the Year award.
I was very honored, and I'm quite humbled by it, I must say.
Well, we're very excited to have you here today so you can share about, in your position as a literacy coach, what does that position actually look like? What kinds of grades do you work with? And
as a literacy coach, which I have been for many, many years, I am able to work with grades K through 5. And not only do I get to work with children, I get to work with teachers. I am there to help them plan lessons, and I also do modeling. I provide feedback, I provide resources, and I also get to work with groups of children. In fact, tomorrow I'm beginning to do a writing class for some 4th graders, and I will be doing that every day for 1 hour. Normally I do intervention, but this year they have decided to give me the children that are on the cusp, and hoping that I could get them to a level 5. So it's going to be very challenging for me, and I'm quite excited when I have the opportunity to work with students for more than just a half hour. So being a literacy coach is something that I enjoy very much, because I am able to work with all students and all grade levels and all teachers, instead of just being in, say, one grade. So it's really, it's been a wonderful experience. I guess I've been doing it now for over 7 years.
Awesome.
So I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, and it is fabulous to have that perspective, to be able to work both with peers and modeling
Right.
and inspiring people to be able to do different instruction in their classroom, and at the same time be able to, have that magic and relate with the kids and try those things out as a coach, the things that you want
That
to
one
share.
word that you said, inspiring, is probably one of the things that I hope that I do inspire students as well as teachers, and that is one of the things I think keeps me in this profession, because really at this stage of my life I probably should have retired, but I do love it so very much, and it's a passion with me. It's just something that and I get energy from being with the students as well as from the teacher, and I think it gives me this great desire to get up every morning and come to school and work and visit with my peers, and hopefully I give them some great insights.
Yeah, doing something you love every day, which is awesome.
Yes, it is.
And to give us a little background, tell us about where you attended school and what was your program of study.
Wow. I have to really go back into the depths, because I went to school I graduated in 1965 in Jersey City. I went to Jersey City University, where my major, of course, was education. And I have continued on my education. I have taken many, many courses, and I've been reading endorsed. But I always, it was something I always wanted to do, was teach. And I taught for, I guess, about 8 years in New Jersey, in Trenton. And then I took a hiatus for about 30 years. I moved to Toronto, where I proceeded to get a degree in interior design. And for many years, while I lived in Toronto, I did interior design and renovations. But I always kept my hand at teaching. I volunteered at a parochial school, and I helped struggling readers, because it was just always there. It was always in my heart that I wanted to teach, but it just wasn't the right time. So in Toronto, I did do interior design, and I did enjoy it. I moved back here to Florida. No, I shouldn't say I moved back. I had been coming back and forth to Florida for over 30 years because my parents live here. But I moved permanently to Florida approximately 14 years ago. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I wasn't ready to just sit home and do nothing, because I am a high energy person. And I thought, I still have that passion for teaching. Maybe I'll see if I can get a teaching job. And I did. I went, in fact, I started out at Floresta, where I am back again. So I started out as a 2nd grade teacher, and I worked for numerous years as a 2nd grade teacher. In those days, we didn't have literacy coaches. We had reading, I guess we were called Title I reading teachers. And I was the Title I support, and I worked with 2nd grade and 5th grade. And then I proceeded on to become the literacy coach. So I've had my hand in teaching for many years. And it is something that I guess I really, just feel that it's
part of you.
It's part of me. Yes, it is part of me.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher.
Absolutely. Awesome. And it's really great, too, how you would come to Floresta when you came here, and now right now you're at Floresta again.
Yes.
So that's, like you said, very neat.
Yeah.
Very special.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, very cool. And thinking about the role, because I know your role fits a lot of different venues as far as working with teachers, working in classrooms. We heard about your writing that's coming up starting this week. How do you see that you infuse, or maybe you work with teachers to infuse technology into any part of those roles? We have a lot of technology.
Well, yes, of course. Even our testing is all done online now. So we do look for resources that would aid in teaching a lesson, especially with writing. I mean, we use a lot of technology with writing. And, I do provide whatever I can. I'm constantly researching different, venues that they can use in technology with their students. I myself, use it, as I said, when I'm teaching writing. I really don't have the opportunity to use it in the reading aspect because it's a small group that I usually do for RTI. But we do use it for, other teachers do use it. I have helped them find programs that would be suitable for them.
Sure.
The technology is the way to go. I had to learn so many new things because, when I first started teaching, we did not have the technology that we have today. And it really has made teaching a lot easier and I think more interesting for the students. So it is something that I continue to work on to help teachers use the technology.
And just being able to sift through all the resources to support them, and that is great. As a literacy coach, you can be able to, help spark an interest or share a resource. Or, time is so limited for them. So
because those are the things we do during collaborative planning. We plan what it is that what our goal is, and we take a look at what is it that we're going to use to get these goals across. And technology does play an important part in that.
Excellent. All right. What is your favorite part of teaching? I know you said you loved writing.
And I love reading. I have a passion for reading. My mother certainly, I think, instilled that in me when I was a little girl, because in those days we didn't have television. So our pastime was listening to stories or the radio. And that's one of the things I do love, reading aloud to little children. I have the opportunity, because I am a coach, to go into many classrooms, and they do invite me in to do some reading. But reading and writing are something that I really feel and I'm an expert at it. I have to honestly say, I really do feel I have expertise in those areas. And I have worked with you over the years, and you have helped me a great deal with some of your programs, which are certainly all full of technology.
It's great. We're lucky to be able to be in a resource position to be able to have that impact. I think that's awesome. And then I know you said your mom inspired you with stories.
Yes, she did. She did. And as far as, I know everybody says, when I was a little girl, that's all I ever wanted to do. I will tell you that my mother told me not to be a teacher. She didn't think that would be a profession that was suited for me, but I felt she was wrong, because one of the first things I asked for when I was about 7 or 8 years old as a Christmas present was a blackboard, if you remember blackboards, and chalk. So I was very, very delighted when I received that blackboard as my Christmas present. And right soon after that, I began conducting classes. I would invite all my little friends over, and I, of course, would be the teacher, and I would sit there, and they would listen, and we would read. And I think it was something that I always wanted to do. I admired the teachers. I went to parochial schools, and I don't know if I was enamored of the nuns as a nun, or because they were teachers. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a nun, or I wanted to be a teacher, or I wanted to be both. And interesting enough, I really did go that path, and I realized that was not my calling, but the teaching, certainly part of it was my calling. And I just feel that it is a profession where you are able to touch so many, you okay? So many lives. And it was a thing that I really have always wanted, is if I could just make an impact on one or two, whether it be children or whether it be teachers. And I really feel that has happened. I have received letters from previous students who are now doctors and lawyers, children that I taught in New Jersey, or adults. And it's nice to know that I have been an inspiration.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it really gives me some value to my life, and I'm helping change culture. And it's just a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, it's rewarding. That's why we love what we do. And Mrs. Floyd, when you visit into areas where Grace is working, whether it be in a classroom or in her intervention, what do you see and what do you hear when you're...
You see a lot of things, but I do want to start off with a little story.
Okay.
And that story is that Grace was nominated unanimously by her peers. So when I was making these announcements, you know, for all the categories, I had to call Grace's name 3 times. Grace did not realize. I kept saying, Grace, Teacher of the Year, Grace. She's looking all around. She did not know it was her. And I'm saying that because Grace is such a humble person. And when you work with Grace, when you see Grace in action, you see passion, you see love when she's working with kids. She never gives up. I have not worked with anyone that has this great passion that she has for children. And really, her love is reading. And she works a lot with the smaller groups, and she always asks to work with kids who are struggling. She really wants to see these kids do well. And we call her Amazing Grace.
Oh,
now, you must understand, I've never worked with Grace until this year. So we had to learn each other. And she has that same passion. I really want all our kids to do well. And she never gives up. She does the same with teachers. Even though a teacher might struggle sometimes, she doesn't give up. She goes back, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we try this? Well, why can't, I'll show you how to do this. She's amazing. It's just really, truly amazing in what she does. And I think with the staff we have, which is predominantly a very young staff, Grace has made some impact with them, that they recognize quality, they recognize someone that truly has a passion for what she does, and she is really good at it.
Building rapport, having people trust in you, being
and
able to
that's the
share the
biggest thing.
strengths.
And this year, Grace, along with several others, but with Grace's support, we have really done a lot with collaborative planning. We've come up with a process that we're using, and it seems to be working for us, where teachers are really able to get together. And Grace is going from one team to another team to this team, providing that support. They seek her out. They look for her. And we just had our day yesterday, and it really, the reflections that Grace shared with me from her perspective, teachers are talking more. And I really look at Grace for doing that, along with several other people as well. But Grace has a great impact on how people interact with each other. But we always come back to our goal is to increase student achievement. And she never loses sight of that, and she doesn't let teachers lose sight of that, to try to find ways to make that happen. Yeah. So it's a win-win.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Floyd. That was, it just brought tears to my eyes.
Oh.
You do make an impact, Grace. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I know that you mentioned working in so many different roles with the literacy coach. Are there any other activities that you see Grace participate in that you just would like to share about?
Well, Grace shares her interior design capabilities with us at school. So if we say we're going to have so-and-so coming or we're having this meeting, she decorates for us. But not only that, seriously, we just did a major play production, and Grace was the producer. You know, the producer is the person that goes out and gets funding, whatever things you need for it. She did it all. And she was able to enlist the people in the community to help support in making costumes and doing other things, and working very closely with our music teacher. But Grace was the play. And we have so much evidence. I've had colleagues to contact me and say the play was great because it was broadcast through the station.
Awesome.
Yeah. She has done that. She does a lot of other things, maybe not so much directed with the school, but she does a lot in the community. And she takes care. I guess what I see with Grace, she takes care of everyone. Not only her mother, she has other family members, and Grace is there. She has abundance of energy. And there are times when I want to take some of it myself because I don't have all that energy. But Grace helps everyone, and she can solicit so much support for us through the school.
True asset.
Yes.
Wisely chosen as the Teacher of the Year.
Yes.
Congratulations
Well,
again,
thank you.
Grace.
Thank you so much, Ms. Boyd. That was so complimentary.
And is there anything else that you'd like to share with us, Grace? I know it's kind of our time to wrap up here, but just give me.
I just feel that this has been a wonderful opportunity. As Ms. Boyd said, I really was bowled over, to be honest with you. But I'm happy to share what I share, and I just want to continue to give whatever I can give. And I hope the future teachers remember to have that passion, and that it's not just a mindset, it has to come from the heart. Because you're working with these wonderful little people, and they deserve people who have heart.
Yeah, and to end on great advice for new teachers. That's excellent advice for new teachers. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you, Paige. It's been so delightful.
And Bernadette, thank you both for being with us. And thanks for joining us. We will be right back with another Teacher of the Year.
What does it take to start something? A little time. A little exercise. A little laugh. A little adventure. A little help. That's all it takes to make a big impact.
As he always talks about, he had people in his life that really helped him out, and he wants to be that person in my life.
Just like he is, I was like that at 14. I know exactly what it means to be a 14-year-old guy.
I think that's why we have a good relationship.
It's fun and cool and nice.
You get to see like how personality develops.
Our friendship is good.
At Big Brothers Big Sisters, a little bit of your support can go a long way towards making matches like these happen. Start something today at bigbrothersbigsisters.org/startsomething.
Welcome back to the 2015 Teacher of the Year Studio Interviews. Now, from Forest Grove Middle School, we have Lee Bretherick, our Teacher of the Year from Forest Grove. Thank you for joining us, Lee.
Thank you.
And we also have her principal, Terry Davis. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have both of you.
Thank you.
And first of all, congratulations on your award.
Thank you very much.
Of your honor of being Teacher of the Year for Forest Grove. That's awesome. And we just wanted you to go ahead and talk to us a little bit about the grade and the subject that you teach at Forest Grove.
I teach 6th grade math right now. I have Math 1. I have a couple advanced classes as well, but all 6th grade math.
Okay, terrific. And have you been doing 6th grade math, or
this is
your first year?
This is fairly new to me. Okay. I was actually an elementary teacher for 10 years and just moved into middle school last year, so this is still fairly new. I actually started last year, first half teaching language arts, so it's only been now one full school year of teaching 6th grade.
Oh, terrific. Awesome. We look forward to hearing a lot about magical things in your classroom. Could you tell us where you attended school and what your program of study was?
Sure. I actually grew up here, attending schools in St. Lucie County, finished and graduated from Palm Beach County, went to UCF, started as a violin major because of the wonderful orchestra program at Lincoln Park, and changing a few times, went to elementary ed, graduated from Florida Atlantic University down in Boca with my degree in elementary ed. And then one day realized I think I'd rather work with middle school, and took the test, and I love it.
Awesome. Awesome. Probably lots of routines and rituals and things that are real helpful to bring up from that upper elementary.
Yes, definitely.
Terrific. Awesome. And what is your favorite part of teaching?
Probably the aha moments. It doesn't always happen in the classroom. I actually have had a student come running up to me telling me that they got a question right on their science test because of something I taught in math. So anything that helps them realize I can do this and I'm not afraid anymore. So that's what excites me. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah, and that you provide probably that awesome culture where they can take risks.
I try. We celebrate every success, whether it's 1 point or 20 points higher than the last time. We have a wall outside of our classroom right now with stars on it on their benchmark gains, and every gain is a star. So whether it says I got 3 points gains or I got 27-point gains, it's all celebrated.
That's terrific. Yeah, that's awesome. And how do you, in your math middle school classroom, how do you infuse the technology into your practice?
Because I have a lot of students who need accommodations, all of my directions are given orally, and then I put them up on the screen so that they can refer to them throughout the lesson, throughout the assignment or activity that they're working on. I have a class website that is available to them, not only for them to access websites that I find that might be helpful to practice at home. Parents can email me through that site. I try to keep it updated with days of testing, activities that are coming up in school. I also have a classroom camera that students can use, whether I take pictures of them doing something or if there's something that they want to take a picture of to try to remember, look at what I did, look at what I made. But that's available to them as well. I know that there's so much technology in their world outside of school, so I try to use it as much as possible in the classroom as well.
Yeah, sounds great. And the portal for you to have that website, that's a great home connection.
And it was free to teachers too, so it's a great resource that teachers have available, and it's very easy to use. So I've been able to use it throughout all the different schools I've been working in.
That's terrific. Excellent. And have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher?
Yes and no. My parents were both teachers in the county. So teacher work days, preschool days, anytime that they had to be at school where it wasn't a normal school day, my sister and I would be there with them. And we played school a lot. And I always insisted on being the teacher, giving my sister work to do. So I felt comfortable in that role. But then music came along. And I thought maybe that's where I needed to be. But I just felt like I was missing something and ended up going into education anyway.
Okay, terrific. And there's a lot of ways that math can infuse with music too. So you could, that aspect is really neat for a math connection.
Yes.
And then is there someone, I know you said your parents both were teachers.
Yes.
And you and your sister spent a lot of times in the schools. Was there someone along the way, another teacher or another mentor who inspired you as well?
My 8th grade math teacher, who is still in the county. We stay in contact with each other. Mrs. Adderley Clark, who is at Allapattah Flats, I believe. She was amazing. She made kids feel that math wasn't scary. She made up raps and songs and dance. She would dance around the room while she was teaching. You couldn't help but pay attention. It was, I didn't even know I liked math before that. And I realized I liked it and I was good at it. And it was from there that I actually excelled later in math because she gave me that spark to realize that this is a subject I can do well in.
Oh, that's great. And I know she'll appreciate seeing that and connecting with your video too. Yeah. That's special. And since you have been teaching for several years, what advice, we have a lot of new teachers coming in, what would be the biggest piece of advice that you'd offer a new teacher?
Don't try to do it alone. Even veteran teachers need to bounce ideas off of each other. It's really great to be able to collaborate with not only teachers in your own department, but teachers in your grade level, because what works in my classroom may work for another content area as well, or there might be something that's working really great for this particular class that I hadn't thought of as far as management or procedures. And if it's working over here, try to keep as much uniform as possible for management so that students don't have to try to remember 7 different sets of rules.
Sure.
So just don't try to get through everything by yourself. Don't try to recreate every wheel. It's possible that somebody already has an idea that you could elaborate with, or that you could use that as a foundation and take it in your own direction. But it doesn't need to be stressful. It doesn't need to be overwhelming. Ask for help. Take help. Just don't be an island.
And sometimes I think naturally we don't do that, so that is excellent to make sure new teachers know to ask and seek that help.
Right.
A lot of people out there that want to help them. Now, Mr. Davis, when you visit Lee's classroom, what do you see and hear?
I see an outstanding classroom with all of the students engaged, very organized, very clear direction. Students know exactly what they're supposed to do when they're doing cooperative structures. They know exactly what the expectations are. They know what the academic tasks are. And there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things that Ms. Bretherick does. Her students get along very well. And she has some challenging personalities. And I think what really distinguishes Ms. Bretherick is that she's got what I read somewhere, what I would call the rage to succeed. She doesn't give up on any kid, no matter how challenging, academically or behaviorally. She will work tirelessly to find something that is going to work to either motivate that kid, that's going to extinguish a behavior that's getting in the way with learning, or that is going to academically help that kid to get to the next level. And that's a rare quality.
Yeah, that is very rare. And very awesome that Forest Grove has that benefit of having you with all the math students to be able to have that benefit as well. And what other activities beyond the classroom do you see?
Ms. Bretherick volunteers a lot for a lot of things. She volunteered to lead our check-in, check-out program, which is when you identify students that have just some little things that need to be fixed. An adult mentor is identified, and just real quick in the morning, the adult mentor meets with the kid just for a couple of minutes. Do you have your supplies? Are you ready for class? Do you have your notebook? Have a good day. The child goes around, takes discreetly a little point sheet with them, and at the end of the day turns that back into that same teacher on the way out. How did your day go? Great. The form goes home for the parent to sign. And there's a lot of organizational parts of that Ms. Bretherick takes care of, and it's a lot. But it's really been very powerful for a lot of students as far as turning their behavior around and giving them a good start in the morning, and helping school for them be a place where there's a caring adult that they report to at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, and it has a powerful impact on their behavior. And so she said, yeah, I'll do that.
Oh, that's great. What a great program. Now, is that something new that you started recently?
No, it's something that we've recently adopted.
Okay, terrific. Well, that's great. You get to meet probably a lot of other kids, too, that you don't have in your necessarily in your math team, so that's great, too.
And a lot of former students as well. I taught elementary in the county for 5 years before moving to middle, so some of my former students that had the program in elementary came back and said, I need my point sheet again, can we get this started? And so when the kids come to you and they know they can trust you and they know that you're going to help them, it's those little behaviors. They might not even realize how often those level 1 behaviors come out, but when you see it on a point sheet that this is how many times that you interrupted, or this is how many times you got out of your seat when you were supposed to be doing something else, it becomes very obvious to them, oh, this really is something I need to work on. And parents are involved too. They see that sheet every day and sign it, and it comes back the next day so that we can track it and see that they really are making progress.
Right.
So oftentimes the kids know there's a problem that I need to fix. Sometimes we have to sit down with them and say, let's do this to try to keep you out of the dean's office. And parents are very supportive of that.
I'm sure. And just having that connected adult every day, too, to check in and check out with, that leaves you starting a great day and finishing a day.
And it could be that student needs to release something that happened outside of school before school starts, and so they have that adult to work with every morning who gets them ready for the day. Do you have everything? Did you leave your pencil at home? Let me get you a pencil. Do you have your notebooks? Do you have your homework? And so they know this person's here for me. I get one-on-one attention. No one else is around, and if I need to talk to them about something personal, I can do it on our time, and then get through the rest of my day without thinking about it anymore.
Oh, that's great. Outstanding. And what's that called again?
Check-in, check-out.
Check-in, check-out. Okay, terrific. And is there anything else that you or Mr. Davis wanted to share about your classroom or about your teaching?
Well, Ms. Bretherick volunteers a lot after school we've had a lot of science parent activities, and she's always willing to say, hey, I'll participate. She has an interest in the total school program, not just her 6th grade math students, but the whole school program.
Terrific. Now, do you have a team too?
Yes.
And is it cross content? Or,
yes.
Yes. Okay.
And most of our students stay within the team. There are a couple that, for example, the other 6th grade math teacher is bilingual. So when we have a student who is 100% Spanish speaking, he may leave he may go to her for math and have the rest of the team. But for the most part, we do work within our team.
Yeah, so that is nice for all the things that you were mentioning for that routine and
Right.
supporting other people.
Right.
That's terrific. Well, we really appreciate both of you being here today.
It's been a privilege.
Thank you so
We're
much.
very excited about your award. Congratulations
Thank you.
again. Yeah, we look forward to hearing about all the results and having you here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
Thanks,
me.
Paige.
Thanks for joining us. We will be right back with another Teacher of the Year.
I understand you need a little help with your mortgage. Want to avoid foreclosure. Candy? Well, you know, you're in luck. We're experts in this sort of thing. Mortgage, rigmarole, whatnot. Why don't we get a contract? Who wants a contract?
Here you go, Pete.
Thanks, Betty.
Write a toner.
If you're facing foreclosure, talk to the right people. Speak with HUD-approved housing counselors free of charge at 888-995-HOPE.
Welcome back to the 2015 Teacher of the Year Studio Interviews. Now, from Central High School, we have Matthew Boswell.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Matthew. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we have the principal of Central. We have Mr. Todd Smith.
Thank you. It's a
Mr.
pleasure
Smith.
to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have both of you. And first of all, congratulations on your Teacher of the Year award.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. We just want you to give us some background about yourself, what grade level and what subject area that you teach.
Well, I'm currently the director of bands at Fort Pierce Central. I teach 9-12 and all of the related band classes, music theory, percussion, jazz band, all of that. Yeah, I'm not from St. Lucie County, though I am from the area. I graduated from Martin County High School a few years back, so it was kind of nice to come back home and have a chance to be with my family and have a job here in town. So.
Sure. Absolutely. Excellent. And where did you attend school in your program of study?
I was a music education major at Florida State University.
Okay.
And I came here right after I graduated.
Awesome. I went to Florida State University too.
Fabulous. Good timing for that,
Yes, good
especially
timing.
this week.
Good game. Absolutely. And when you think about your profession in all the band classes, what is your favorite part of teaching?
Wow. I honestly love everything about my job. Being a band director is really, really cool. I mean, we have tough days when things don't go well, but we also have great times. I mean, nothing really beats getting up in front of 120 students at a football game and, you know, performing the national anthem for a couple thousand people. You know, getting on stage for a concert, performing something the students have worked so hard to put together. That's just, the experience that is really unmatched. I don't think people that haven't done what I do can understand that. And by far, that's the thing I look forward to every day when I go to work.
Awesome. A lot of energy, a lot of adrenaline. I can imagine every single time that you have a different experience. like that. It's
Absolutely.
new.
And it changes every time. You know, we change music, we change students, we change venues. It's a new experience every single time. And it's new for me, it's new for the students, and it's just overall a great experience.
Oh, that's fabulous. Now, how long have you been at Central?
This is the middle of my 4th year.
Okay, terrific. And when you, in the band classroom and on the field or in the classroom, how do you infuse technology into your teaching with your students?
It can be difficult. I mean, part of what I think about my subject is it's so cool because it's so old school. We do the same thing that people have been doing for hundreds of years, and that I think is one of the neatest things about the subject. But that being said, I mean, my classroom's not in the 1850s. We still do some modern things that come in. There's all kinds of individual devices, tuners and metronomes, things like that we use to help students play better together. And, you know, with the advent of the internet, the ability to look music up and find things for them to study and look at and listen to, huge benefit, huge plus in my classroom. And lastly, I think recording, the ability to take a recorder and record your kids today and turn around 5 minutes later and play it for them again. Let's discuss, why does this sound bad? Why does this need to be fixed? That is invaluable, especially with students today who really want instant gratification.
Absolutely. A lot of reflection, a lot of capability for them to go right back and see exactly what they just...
Absolutely, and I'm very fortunate to be teaching in an era where these kind of things are possible, because even when I was in school it wasn't, so the kids are very fortunate.
Terrific. And have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher?
I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but no, I didn't really want to be a teacher when I first started. In high school, music's always been a part of my life. For, you know, since I was in kindergarten, preschool, I was always a musician. When I was in high school, I really enjoyed working with my colleagues and, you know, leading them in music making. So as I graduated high school, I went to Florida State with the intention of studying conducting and hopefully finding some sort of professional way to do that. But as I got it further and further into my studies, I realized that the greatest conductors out there, people who do that for a living, are great teachers first. So that sort of made me redouble my efforts as an education student. And I get to do both things. I get to direct students, and I get to help have kids experience music in ways that I have for many, many years and share what I love with them.
Yeah, that's terrific. And along that pathway, was there a teacher or a person who was a major influence for you?
So many teachers. That's one of the things about being a musician. I've had private teachers since I was, a middle school student. And I can name a few. Mr. Roadman, Rob Roadman was my band director at Martin County High School. Huge influence on me. I learned so much about what I do from him. And, a little tidbit of information, he was also a Fort Pierce Central alumnus. He graduated in the very first graduating class and was the band captain of the very first band at the school. So I find it very ironic that I just ended up here. He's one I can think of. And I actually have another Fort Pierce Central teacher. The first band director at the school was Tony Allo back in 1970. He was also one of my teachers in middle school, giving me lessons. So, those two, I think, really steered me in the right path. And I also had so many great teachers at Florida State and, private teachers in town. So many people taught me how to love music, and that's what I do. I want to share it with everybody.
Absolutely. I can feel that passion for sure. It comes across. And when you think of new teachers, because I'm sure there's lots of new teachers coming into both, music, band, chorus, into the profession, what advice would you share with new teachers coming on board today?
I think for a student coming from an education program or getting ready to enter service, you really need to spend time making sure you know your subject matter. I knew a lot of things when I became a teacher, but I really wished I had worked a little bit harder on some of those little detailed things. So when I got into the classroom, I was ready, knew everything I needed to know, and I could focus on teaching. When you don't know your material well enough, it can become hard. That and reach out. There are those of us that have been doing this for a few years are really always willing to share insights and share help, and I enjoy doing that now that I've been here for a few years. I work with a lot of new teachers and new band directors, every week, all the time.
That's good. So you can be a huge asset to a lot of those people coming into the field. That's great. Now, Mr. Smith, when you visit in Matthew's classroom, what do you see? What do you hear?
Yeah, Mr. Boswell's classroom can be characterized as a classroom with the extreme levels of energy and excitement, and that comes from the students and also from the teacher. And what you can see, it's a clear goal. They're always working on a uniform goal, and the expectations are consistent and enforced, are implemented on a daily basis. So individuals are placed in positions where they can be extremely successful and also challenged, because every student comes into our band and they may be a clarinet player, they may be a flute player, but by the time they leave Fort Pierce Central High School, they'll be proficient in three or four instruments, and that's just more marketability for the students and just a greater grasp of the whole profession and the whole educational profile that we offer at Fort Pierce Central High School.
Yeah, sounds terrific. Lots of opportunity there for kids that want to be involved in music and band, for sure. And when you think about Mr. Boswell and the other activities, I know you're involved in so many because band is threaded into, like you had said, the football games and percussion and multiple classes. What other activities and opportunities do you see Mr. Boswell becoming involved in across campus?
Mr. Boswell is an ambassador for band at Fort Pierce Central High School in St. Lucie County. He has his hands in middle schools and high schools. He also readily volunteers to assist in professional development at Fort Pierce Central High School. He works hand in hand with me when I do power presentations in the auditorium, adding his expertise. In addition to that, he's more than willing to assist any beginning teacher, regardless of the academic discipline that they're working in right now, and he readily volunteers to assist them with classroom management, because a lot of times when you talk about somebody who's in field, they want to talk about the subject matter that Mr. Boswell talked about beforehand, but Mr. Boswell, he's not going to talk about math with the individual. He's going to talk with strategies of the beginning teacher that's going to make him more successful in classroom management. And they can visit his classroom, and he opens that up, because you think of the band, a classroom, you think about performance, but at the same time, being able to pinpoint, the trumpet that's off key or the trombone that's off key, and really provide insight and immediate reflection for those students and feedback. They can take that into their own classroom, albeit intensive rated in math or social studies or science. So he really is an ambassador for Fort Pierce Central High School, and the teachers that look up to him, and he's a leader.
It's terrific. Fabulous. Now, when you think about band and music, how do you see that crossing into other content areas? And I know you mentioned that he is able to help a lot of teachers. So there's a lot of ways music can do that. Have you found some effective ways?
I think, it's how you approach a subject. Music is great because it's a performance. He mentions being able to identify problems. When we're playing something, it's very easy to find, if someone's doing something not correct. If you can make another task in another classroom the same way, where students are showing their work and it's a performance even, it's easier to spot problems, using boards, a lot of things that they do with the Marzano evaluation, things like that, strategies for engaging students. That's all very centric, very present in the music classroom, and I love to share that with other people.
Yeah, and that's valuable for any classroom.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And what about, I know you had mentioned also that you have a love for the technology, the auditorium. What sorts of things do you also facilitate that at Central as well? Is that correct?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to, again, have very great teachers during my high school years and learned a lot about technical TV, all that kind of stuff, theater. So I worked very closely with my lovely colleague, Ms. Stewart, the drama teacher, and we produced the musicals together and the plays. I love getting in the lift and working with lights. I typically have it stashed off somewhere when they're looking for it. But I enjoy that kind of stuff. It's something I'd like to do.
Great.
So I find ways when I'm not working with students to do that, or teach other students.
Okay. And are there any upcoming shows or performances in the spring?
Oh, yeah. Well, I myself and all the band directors, middle school and high school, most of us participate in music performance assessments. That is the end of February, 28th and then March 1st. And then middle school, I think, is 2 weeks later. That's actually at our school. So, that if anyone wants to come support the middle schools for the district and the region, that'd be great. Of course, I have my spring concert later in the year, sometime in May.
Okay, terrific. So you have lots of great things happening in addition to just your classrooms that you're preparing kids for music too. So extra events. Awesome. Is there anything else that either of you would like to contribute today to share about your classroom or?
Yeah, the one thing that we often look at in the field of education is often schools are measured by a letter grade. One thing you can't measure is excitement and enthusiasm for the academic subject area. The best example I can do is provide that with Mr. Boswell. When he first arrived at Fort Pierce Central High School, he was teaching 4 band classes, 2 chorus classes, and maybe 1 TV production class or assist him with that. So he had a band about 45 students strong. Right now we're at 120
like
students participating in band, and it continues to grow. So he's actually created a great problem for me. Not enough instruments, not enough uniforms, and not enough seats in the classroom. So that's one thing that if you take a step back and think about that, you talk about the national anthem, and it is powerful because on the football game, the showcase is the national anthem when we first start there, and seeing the band from not learning how to play that until week 7 to playing it in the first game, and then having the performing at halftime, it's really exciting, and that's a clear connection between the school, athletics, and the community. And it's really nice to see the parent volunteers that we have now that we haven't had in the past. So his success is measured by the growth opportunities I give him, 7 classes, multiple preps, and the demands that are placed on the position.
Absolutely. Lots of after school.
A
lot of after school, I'm sure.
Yes.
And I know you mentioned volunteers, you have more parents. I know that any band music program does require a lot of after volunteers. So is that something you're still looking for if parents are interested? You always want volunteers, right?
If you have special skills, anybody, we can always find something. I guess that goes for just about anything in the school. We can always find a parent a place if they really want to help.
Absolutely. So we'll welcome parents to do that as well.
And I just have to say, thank you to Mr. Smith, for supporting me and giving me the tools to be successful. And thank you to all my colleagues, people in the community, band directors, friends who have supported me in my journey thus far. As I wouldn't be here without their support and without their help.
Yeah, well, it's been a great segment with you both. It's been a pleasure to meet you and hear all the wonderful things that are happening at Central. Again, congratulations on your award.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing about the process as it moves forward. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining us this week for Teacher of the Year interviews. We will be back next week with more of our Teacher of the Year studio interviews.